We are live. Appreciate you guys hopping on. This conversation is going to be really, really good. Today we have a special guest, Donyea Goodman. He is a producer, arranger, songwriter. He's been able to work with Disney, Microsoft. He's also worked with Fred Hammond, Marvin Sapp, Teddy Riley, Blackstreet. The list goes on and on. Welcome to the stage, Donyea. Appreciate you coming on,
What's
brother.
going on, fam?
Nothing much. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear this. Look, you don't know this, but I have been watching you for a while. It goes back to maybe 2010. You used to post remixes. There's a couple of videos that come to mind, even when you would go to Guitar Center and just cook up a quick beat on the fly.
Oh man. Yeah, I
and
remember
just
that.
come up with something like out of nowhere, and it would just be so crazy. And to me, that was like my early production days. I didn't barely had any keyboards, barely had any production gear, so I would see those things and I would be like, how is this possible? And I feel like part of how I'm able to, I guess, create comes from watching those early videos of, you just taking something simple and turn it into something great. So thank you for that.
Appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's just start with this. So what's your earliest memories of music, and when did you know that you wanted to become a producer? Let's start there.
Let me see. High school.
Okay.
Junior year in high school is when I knew.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, I used to put stuff together on my recorders and stuff. See, I'm from before computers, so
Yeah.
it was like a tape recorder. I had like two tape recorders, and my dad got me two tape recorders, and I was just swap tapes back and forth. And I had a Casio CT640, and I would program on that. And I never forget hearing it back.
Mm-hmm.
And once I heard the result of me recording, it was off to the races after that. It was off to the races. It was I bought my first karaoke machine at like 19, swapped tapes back and forth, and bought my first DJ mixer right out of high school. And I just started, man, I would take the tapes to school to let people hear them and stuff like that. So it was I was pre-gaming that, and I didn't know it was going to become a career. I just thought I liked hearing myself record stuff. I didn't think that it was like, oh man, I'm gonna make a career out of this, because I'm from like church, and back in the day, church folks was like, we don't believe in music career being a legit job. You're gonna go to work, you're gonna go do something else. And it took about, believe it took 10 years to prove my people wrong. It took 10 years for me to get up there. But it changes over time. Like, at first I was like, oh, I just want to play for a church for a career. And then I started realizing my passion changed, and I just want to record music for a career. And then that passion changed, and the passion changes. And, it was like, so even now to this day, I have a different perspective of like what I want to do as far as production. So it's like an ever evolving thing, especially when it, transfers into artistry and all of that.
Yeah, no, that's good. I love how you said, it starts one place, but it slowly evolves over time, because I feel like that's life. I think sometimes we can get stuck thinking that, just because I start here and this is the dream, we accomplish those goals, and it slowly changes as we grow, as we see life different, as we go through different seasons, things, your mindsets change, you grow. And that's what it's all about.
100. 100, 100.
Yes, sir. You were on Facebook Live the other day or last week, and that was like my first time tuning into your live. But you grabbed me in basically the passion that you were talking with and the topic you were talking about. We're going to get into that, but let's go here. What does it take to be a great producer in 2025?
That's a big question, man. Um, that's such a big question. Okay, so um, I would say the first thing that it takes is find out what you want to do. Find out find out what you want to produce. Find out if you're even down for the cause, because it's not like it was back in the day where you can back in my day, man. I used to just record stuff and then we drop it to tape or we put it on CD, and then we would go to all the gatherings and all the events and be like, "Hey man, come sit in the car for a minute." And we would play the tapes for all the people, or we would take our CD up to the DJ and be like, "Hey man, spin track number 4," or whatever, and then see how the people react. And depending on how the people react, then it would be, or we would have like straight beat battles. Like it was like a beat battle where all the cats get together and you had to bring heat, and but the difference now and then is that, like, I didn't win none of the beat battles back then. I
Mm-hmm.
won nothing. I lost most of the time. I lost first round. First round, I was out.
Was this
And
high school?
this was no, this was years after, man. This was like early 2000s. This was early 2000s. Um and I was going to these hip hop beat battles, man, and was losing first round.
Wow.
And what ended up happening was I would lose, but people would come up to me afterwards and be like, "Yo, that was dope. We got a link." And that's how it happened. So I learned that, like, even in losing, there was an advantage. 2025 is so rough because
Yeah.
we're in a generation now where everybody judges how good you are based on your social media following or based on like your numbers. It's all this numbers game, and people easily get fooled by the numbers. Like, oh, he only got such and such 1,000 followers, so he must not be
Mm-hmm.
that great. And you have no idea that the cat is a millionaire. You know what I mean? Like you have no idea. You think, and I learned that myself. I got to deal with Disney from a cat that has less followers than me. I just
Mm-hmm.
didn't know, but for some reason I saw he was like, "Man, I work for Disney, man. I can't afford you. Is there a way you can help me out?" Right. And
Oh
I'm like,
wow.
"You work for Disney. How you not afford me?" But if it once you cross that line, it's a different world over there. And, it was like dealing with people who nobody knew, nobody had said their name. These are people that you don't find everywhere. And this cat put me on,
Yeah.
but I had to divorce myself from like being viral and being the cat on top and always being the, because social media will fool you like that. So you got to like know, okay, this is what I want to do, and then find objective steps to get there. And although social media is a tool for you to use to get there, you cannot worship at that altar. If you worship at the altar of social media, you're going to find yourself becoming more of a jukebox than an artist, or a
Mm.
jukebox rather than a producer. And that's okay, but you have to identify it. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many people's like, "Oh, I make my living producing." It's like, no, you don't. You make a living creating content that people want you to hear. They want to hear from
Ah.
you. So you get up and go, "Hey, what do you guys want to hear me do today?" That's not producing. You're a jukebox. You're just doing whatever they say. And if that's your career, that's great. But you got to say what it is. Like, you can't be like, "I'm
Mm-hmm.
a producer." Well, who have you produced? You're not producing records. You're creating content for people to enjoy, and that's
Dang.
perfect.
That's
But you
good.
just got to say what it is. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because you, like, think about it. Like, the credits that you know about, you read about, whether you've seen on a website or whatever. I didn't list everything. You know what I mean? Like, and I
Hmm.
do that on purpose because the line would be like it would just go on and on and on. You know what I mean? But production is my career, so I get up every day and I come in here and make music and I sell it to someone. You know what I mean? No one will ever hear it. No one will ever know about it, but my bills are paid. You know what I mean? So that's the difference between like, okay, this is what it takes to be a producer in 2025. And a lot of times, man, half of the stuff I don't even like what I'm doing.
Oh
I'm not
wow.
even, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, this is, this is not necessarily something I would produce. You know what I mean? Um, but I have to draw the line like, okay, okay, that's a perfect example. I'll give you a perfect example. Let's say, okay, so you want to be a chef, right?
Hmm.
Well, you can't just only learn how to make the stuff you like really well.
Yeah. No, that's a perfect
If you
example.
only
That's good.
if you only cook what you like, then you'll only pay bills with stuff you like. And there's not enough people out there for that. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? You gotta learn, okay, all right, so all right, somebody I can cook this spaghetti real well. Somebody is gonna want some stir fry. Somebody's gonna want, depending on the type of restaurant you want to have. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And so it's that, and then the other side is understanding who you are not. You know what I mean? And you can just refer to what I said earlier. Just understand who you're not. You know,
Hmm.
I'm not like America's greatest hip hop producer of all time. Like I'm not that guy. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? And if I am that guy, I'm not scoring movies. You see what I'm saying? So I have to
Yeah.
identify like, okay, this is the type of producer I want to be. So I have to study and learn my way all the way up to that. No
Hmm.
one would have hired me to. I did a movie for Russell Simmons and Def Jam almost 10 years ago, right? They wouldn't have called me for that if I was just hip hopping my way, like I like to do. But it's because they saw other skills along the way. But I honed those. I understood like, okay, I want to score movies. So what's the first thing I got to do? I got to watch some movies. I got to watch some
Yeah.
movies. I got to watch the movies for the score. I got to listen. Like, okay, well, all right, oh man, the strings came in at this part and this part and this part and this part. When I worked for Disney, um, I pretty much did the did the music for their Star Wars hotel, right? So it's Galactic Star Cruiser hotel attraction that they opened up in LA and in Florida, in Orlando.
Dang, that's
And
decent.
and I went up against producers from all over the world. I
Hmm.
don't even know what country they were from, you know. And their thing was they were like, here's the crazy part. Now no one's ever known this. Now I'm 48 and I think I was 46 at the time. And they were like, well, are you familiar with Star Wars? I didn't know it was going to be for Star Wars, but they were like, are you familiar with Star Wars? I'm like, I mean, I knew the name. I hadn't seen one Star Wars movie.
Oh
I didn't
yeah.
know. I had no idea. And so they were like, all right, we're going to start in 3 weeks. Right. And then you start submitting tracks to us. So I didn't sit down and start tracking. That wasn't my first order of business. I got to watch Star Wars. so,
Wow.
so I literally crammed Star Wars back to back to back to back. Start in order. Okay, who is this? Who's looking what? And you got to. I had to really study it. Like I couldn't be like, oh yeah, I know the movie a little bit, because the assignment was you can't copy anything from the themes. You can only
Oh.
hint. You can only hint at it. So you have to program this stuff as if you were a part of the team and this is your contribution. You cannot hint at anything anyone else did. So
Mm.
to keep me safe from that, I had to study what they did. So I'm sitting there watching the movie for the movie. Then I go back and watch it again for the music. Then I go back and watch it again, because then they're like, now you got to name your song. And you got to name your song based on the theme. But you see how intricate that joint gets? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like you have to identify like, okay, I want to be this. You got to identify what you want to be known for. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You
No,
got to
that's
identify. You got to identify what you want to be known for. And if and then shoot like a sniper, not a shotgun. cat. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? Because what happens is shotgun cat, you got your shotgun, it sprays. You just kind of, that whole thing that says, they used to say when I was younger too, oh, aim for the moon and you'll land on the stars
Yeah,
type of
yeah,
thing.
yep. Uh-huh.
No, land on the moon. Don't
Yeah.
shoot for the moon and you'll reach no, shoot for the moon, land on the moon. Because
Gotcha.
because if you miss the moon, you're gonna always feel like you didn't get there. Just it's gonna
Hmm.
and I've seen that eat cats up.
That is good.
I've seen it eat cats up, man, and
Yeah.
that's what we're seeing in the music producer community right now. Is a lot of
Mhm.
people who never landed on the moon.
Wow. Hey, look, we could interview right now. You just spoke so much game. We could end it right now. This question right here is for me because this is something
Yes.
that I've kind of been wrestling with, I guess, the past year or so. How
Uh-huh.
do you go about, like you say, you wake up every single day and you make music? Sometimes you don't like the music that you like. You wouldn't choose to make some of this music by choice. You're doing it because it's like, all right, this is a career. I have to do this. I
Yes.
have to study this stuff. How do you go about when you're the Star Wars thing? You had to essentially get prepared for the movie, put together your best piece. How do you go about pitching music with the chance that they may say, all right, cool. You just put in 12 hours working on this track for them to see and maybe just be like, all right, we don't really want to go with that. I guess the question is like, how do you go about putting shots up with the chance that it's going to get denied?
Okay, it's a good question. So I'm very particular about who I submit to.
Okay.
I'm very particular. Um, and what a lot of cats don't know is the real movers and shakers pay you for your submission, whether they take it or not.
Gotcha. Okay.
The real movers and shakers pay you money just for the time. So when I sat down with Disney and they asked me for initially they were like, we're gonna need about 5 tracks. I said, okay. They were like, send us 2 based on this. And they showed me the criteria.
Hmm.
And I was getting ready to send them. And the guy said, no, you can't send us anything unless we pay you.
Oh, wow.
We don't take submissions unless we pay you. The real companies, they pay you.
Didn't
So
know that.
yes, the real companies pay you. Whether it's for commercials or whatever, for submitting the music, they pay you for your time. It's not as much
Hmm.
as you would get if you actually made the deal, but they pay
Hmm.
you for your time. So that's one. And then there are other situations where, you know, I'll have like an artist that I work with and I'll shoot them something and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm not feeling that," you know, it's been happening to me for so long that it don't bother me that they don't feel it or that oh, I spent all this time and they don't like, what I did. I learned not to take that personal a long time
Hmm.
ago
Yeah.
because you start taking it personal when people don't like your stuff.
Uh-huh.
It's one thing if there's a quality discrepancy, right? If there's
Hmm.
a situation where like you just got to get better, man. Because there
Yeah.
was a time when Cass used to be like, Donyea sucks. His
Wow.
tracks ain't beaten up. It's just that this was all before social media, so there was no online thing where it's like, oh, his stuff sucks.
Gotcha.
Nah,
Yeah.
I would hear it from word of mouth. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Like I would
tough.
hear like, oh, somebody said your beat suck, man. He said, or even worse, I would hear somebody on the phone. Like I would hear it like on somebody would be on speakerphone and they would say it. They don't know I'm in the background
Uh-huh.
listening, and I would hear it. And I remember I said, okay, all right, okay. And I packed up my little MPC and my little stuff, and no one heard from me for almost a year.
Built
No one heard
different.
from me.
Different time, different
Yeah,
generation. Built different.
yeah. No one heard. I said, okay, I'm not gonna get mad. So I just disappeared for a year. And the next time they heard me, it was like, oh, we're sorry. We're so sorry. And
Yeah.
I was, and it made a dog out of me, you know what I mean? But I had to
Yeah.
learn how to take it. But now that I know I'm good, I don't need you to tell me that. I just
Yeah.
needed you to tell me, does this fit? And if it doesn't fit, then we go back to the drawing board. You know what I mean? And I have artists that sent me back to the drawing board. Teddy Riley sent me back to the drawing board a couple times.
Hmm.
Um, I work with Percy Beatty, one of the greatest songwriters of all time. He sent me back to the drawing board. I'm not like feeling that drive. Let's do something else. But the encouragement is this: when it gets to that point, right, and somebody
Hmm.
doesn't like what you do and wants to give you an opportunity to come back again with something else, that means you got the job. You're already working with them. They
Gotcha.
called you
Okay.
because your capability is there. It's just they just need you to hit the mark. You see what I'm saying? So when
Land on the
Disney
moon.
did it, yes. So when Disney did it, they would go through the tracks and be like, this one, this one, this one, and this one. The other one, it wasn't that the other one wasn't good. It just didn't fit what they needed it for. So I didn't bother me one bit. I was like, all right,
Hmm.
cool. You know, or they would say something like, hey, turn it up. And I would just, it's like, what do you mean? It's not loud enough. Oh, all right. You know
Yeah.
what I
That's
mean?
easy.
So it's just, you can't take nothing personal in this game. You
Hmm.
always have to use it as an opportunity to get better.
Gotcha.
Use it as an opportunity to get better. It's like, all right, that's not okay. So now I know, and you're gonna always have a weak. You're gonna always have a weak point. There's gonna always be a weakness. Like you're not gonna be strong at everything all the time. You're gonna have
Hmm.
a weak point. Accept that. Like, okay, I need to learn this. Like every day when I get in the studio, before I do anything, I look up somebody's tutorial on how to do something
That's every single day.
every day. Except,
That was going to be my next question. I saw
Mhm,
you again. I watched your whole live, and I guess I'm obsessed to hear like the OGs talk. They like you guys have just a different type of wisdom that I think is necessary for our generation. Like we need this type of wisdom, you know.
mhm.
Um, and this is something that I'm learning in this season. You said you spend more time studying than actually making music. Can you like
Oh,
explain that a little bit more?
100%. So when I was coming up, the only way you could learn how to do something is if somebody showed you. You there was no YouTube back then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so my principle was, okay, I would get with all these producers and the producers back then nobody wanted to show you nothing because it was like, nah, because if you get better, then it's no work for me. That's what we thought.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
our thinking. Like, it can only be one.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to learn how to use an MPC on my own. I had to learn how to, and I just, you know, made mistakes until I got it. Even
Mm-hmm.
me as a musician, like I just made mistakes and embarrassed myself until I sounded good.
Yeah.
And as it developed, I started developing relationships with people and they started teaching me things out of the goodness of their heart. Like, hey man, do this, do that. Nah, man, those drums suck. You need to do this. And I would learn. And I got so addicted to learning from cats. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? That by the time YouTube came out and it was a tutorial to go back and forward, and you ain't had to necessarily read through the manual for 8 days. And you could go on YouTube and go, oh, that's how you do. Oh man, I didn't even think of that. So now I'm like, man, no excuses, man. I get up every single day and I come in here and I'll find something like, what does that mean? And I'll go look it up. And I won't stop until I know what it means.
Wow.
I won't stop until I know how to work this whole thing in and out. The software I know how to work is because when I chose that software and was like, I want to use this software, I threw everything else out and I only tracked with that until I
Mm-hmm.
became a master. And every tutorial would come out, I'm watching it. Every time somebody come out with something new, I'm watching it. Every time somebody throw up a form, I'm reading because the way to stay relevant is to stay learning. Once you
Yes.
stop learning, you're gonna get left behind. Once you stop ingesting new knowledge and even if you don't necessarily use it right away,
Mm-hmm.
ingest it see what's going on. Because once you don't know what's going on and you become detached, then you get them people, oh man, he used to be dope. He's not dope no more. You stop
Yeah.
learning. You stop
Wow.
learning. So I get up every day. Hey man, oh man, what's this knob? What's this? Oh, I never had a Yamaha Motif XS. I always wanted one, but I never had one.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my good friends, Christian Dentley from Take Six, was like, "Hey man, you can have mine." And he brought mine over, gave it to me. I'm like, man, I don't know what this is. A whole
Mm-hmm.
week, a whole week. We're gonna sit here and learn this. This is an older keyboard, but we're gonna learn it for an entire
Mm-hmm.
week. So I didn't stop until I could sound design on it without no help. And I integrated it. So it's like it's the obsession with learning. Like you're forever a student, you're forever a student. And then you become a teacher of the things that you're learning.
There it
And you
is.
forever. So one of my best friends told me, he said, bro, you're kind of like Indiana Jones. You got to look at it like that. It's like
Mm-hmm.
Indiana Jones. I'm like, and I had to think about it. Indiana Jones, during the day, he's teaching at the university. What is he teaching? Teaching archaeology.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When he gets off work and punches out, he gets on a plane and go over to wherever to discover something that he's doing the thing he's teaching after he's
Oh,
done. You see what I'm
yeah.
saying? So that's really the life you have to live in this game. It's like, okay, I learn, I teach, and then I go do.
Yeah.
And it just let it and repeat and just repeat over and over again. You'll always stay working that way. Because you're
That's
gonna always
so
find out
good.
how to do something somebody else don't know how to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
That's the
like
advantage.
yes. So you're forever learning all the time. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I didn't even know about that. Let me learn it. So
Yeah.
just never be afraid of that.
Yeah, no, that's so good. I literally just learned that. I mean, we know we should always be learning, but it takes commitment to say I'm going to be a student to this thing. Like it takes commitment to have the mindset, "Oh, I haven't arrived. Yeah, I've done this, but there's no such thing as, "Ooh, I've made it to this point and now I'm good." It's like you get stuck that way, you know?
Man, the I've been on tour with a lot of OGs, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I love these guys. But what I've learned is like I watch them and I'm like, you ever had that thing where it's like you ever watch a good action movie, right? And then,
Yeah.
where it's like the martial arts and it's the sensei and the teacher, and then
Mhm.
somewhere along the way, like the student whooped the teacher. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, yep,
It's like,
yep.
and the student is like, how'd that happen?
Mhm.
How did we get here? Well, the teacher never learned nothing else.
Come on. They're good at what they know, but they
Yes.
stop
So when
learning.
right. So what happens? The student has to go to a different master to learn something
Mm.
else. So what when I went on tour with these OGs and I started seeing how they move, it was like one of the greatest compliments I ever received is when I went on tour with Teddy Riley, and we was in his studio and I was showing him one of my remixes,
Mhm.
and he just sat there and was just like, and he was just looking around, and I'm like, oh man, this is bad. Like, what's going on? And then the track faded out, and he was like, and he looked at me, he's like, you gotta teach me them chords, man.
Wow.
You gotta show me what that was. He pulls out a keyboard and plugs it up. You show me what he wanted to learn. I want to
Uh-huh.
know. And that's where he's a nerd. Like Teddy's a nerd. Like, I'm gonna find out how to do that. I'm gonna find out how to do that. I'm gonna find out. And then on the other side, you had cats just like, no, man, I'm this and I'm that. No, man, and this. And they're so busy like repeating their glory days and repeating everything. What
Yeah.
up? I see my fam on the chat. Um,
Hey.
they keep repeating things over and over and over again. Yeah, I was back when I was doing this and that. It's like, that's cool, but what are you doing right now? Like, what
Yep.
exactly are you accomplishing right this minute? Nothing. You talking about what you did, you know what I mean? And then being upset that gets old. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like, oh man, don't nobody want to give me my props. Like, They did. You got the awards. You got all the stuff. What's next? You know what I mean? Well, you got people
Yeah.
like Teddy Riley and these other producers. Like I want to know what's next. Like what I want to write a new song. I want to do.
Hmm.
A lot of cats don't want that. They just want the glory from what they did, which is indicative of something inside of them that never got fulfilled. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It goes deep after that. It's like, oh, something in you did not get validated, which is why you feel like you're still owed something else after you've
Yeah.
done all the stuff.
Hmm.
It's like, oh man, I mean, and for me, once you tap into the purpose and the why that you're doing it, it don't take all of that, but
Yeah.
the OGs can really, it can get, I mean, it got bad on tour, yo.
Hmm.
It got bad. Like Cass was like fighting over
Wow.
over glory days, man, like still hot and mad and just going. And I was just like, man, bro, like we in an arena of 20,000 people, just sing your song. Like, what's going on? Like, no, I'm the man. It's like, wow, man, you okay. You know what I mean? Like,
You're
just
the
leave.
man.
Yeah, hey, bro, hey, they're here to see you. You know what I mean? Like they came here to see you,
Uh-huh.
So I think that learning is key, bro, which is why I was saying in my live that you saw the other day, like learning, like don't stop learning anything. Like
Mm.
forever learn something. Like even if it's little, like I always wanted to learn how to like that's I think that it was an old Chinese master that was saying that's the key to living a long time too, is get up and learn something. Get up and learn something. It does something to your brain when you feed it, you know.
Yeah.
You never get so caught up in I've arrived. Like where?
Yeah.
At what point is the mountaintop? Right?
Yeah.
Because and then it's like, okay, you have arrived. So now you got to help other people get where you are.
Yeah.
How do you do that? You got to learn that. Now you got to learn how to teach what you know. You know what I mean? So you never stop learning. You never stop learning. There's always, no matter how close you get to the top, there's always a bottom.
Mm.
There's always a bottom because there's always going to be somewhere to go.
Yeah. No, that's good. Look, next question. And well, before I go to the next question, Myron Golden, I don't know if you know Myron Golden, he says something along the lines of there is no there. And he says the journey is the destination. Because we
100%.
we love to look at, oh, I'm trying to get to this spot, but it's like really the destination is cool. We all want to get to a destination, but really the beauty of our life is the journey.
Mhm.
It's what it takes to get to that destination where what makes life so amazing and beautiful. And it's there is no there. That's like one of my favorite quotes. It's like just keep on living and keep on putting good back into the world and learning, because it's like the destination
Yes.
is cool. Go back and
Yeah,
learn some more now, you know?
man. It's the Indiana Jones thing again, man.
Yeah.
Think about it, man. He never stops. He
Yeah.
never stops. Like between each, if you ever take a look at Indiana Jones end of the series from then to now,
Mhm.
in between each series, the story reveals that he had been going out finding something else
Mhm.
that's not in the movie. You know what I mean? You'd see all these accomplishments that he's like, you were doing this the entire time. The entire time you were teaching. We just saw the Temple of Doom. We just saw the Ark of the Covenant. We just saw that. But
Mhm.
in between that, you were doing all the other things. You know what I mean? You never stopped. Like you just kept going. So there was no like, oh, if I can get this, this is the prize. Nope. There's always gonna be something else to go get. You know what I
Yep.
mean? There's always
As
gonna be
long as you
something else to
living.
go. There's always gonna be. So it's like George Duke is one of my idols.
Mhm.
I sleep, eat, breathe George Duke. George Duke said, he said, when I'm done with the music I'm writing, I'm done with it. I'm
Mhm.
going to the next thing. I'm not sitting there reveling. And he's like, I do the whole thing and I'm done. I'm finished. I'm going to do something else. And you look
Yeah.
at the guy's library and it's like, he could totally be done. He could
Mhm.
totally. just be finished. But all the way until the time he left this earth, he left this earth in the middle of recording an album.
Wow.
You know what I mean? He
Yeah.
checked out of here in the he it was like the Dream or Dreams, I believe,
Hmm.
was the name of the album, and he was sharing it as he went, like as he went along. And before you know it, he was gone. I was like, man, this dude created all the way up until he took his last breath. Jay Dilla created all the way
Hmm.
up until he took his last breath. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you never get to the point where it's like, oh, this is it. I'm cool. And that's what happens to a lot of OGs, and
Yeah.
they end up becoming victims of celebrity obsolescence, right? Is because they get their money, they get their fame, and they on top. They're not hungry no more.
Mm.
No one. They're not seeking nothing. They just reveling on top that they
The
have,
good
and
old
then
days.
when it's time to sit down and create again, they ain't got nothing
Mm.
because nobody learned. So that's my bottom line. Like I'm gonna forever. It's never gonna be like, oh, you've arrived. No, I haven't. I remember my godbrother said that when I was on tour with Ted, and he was like, man, you've made it. I was like, oh no, bro. No, sir. No, I have not. Not even
Hmm.
close. You know what I mean? I'm looking
Yeah.
around, I'm seeing everybody. You know what I mean? But that didn't do nothing for me. I'm like, this means nothing. So while everybody was out drinking and doing all of that and doing just, oh yeah, whatever, I was on a bus still making beats.
There
I
you
was
go.
cranking out by myself. Everybody was taking time off. I was in New York in the middle of Manhattan on the tour bus by myself in the studio because I was like, this ain't it. I got to keep going. You know, I'm not. You know, it's like I'm never gonna get to that. Let's chill. And Snoop Dogg said it best. I don't have time to look at the highlights. There's more games to play.
Hey, that's good. Yeah. Here's a question for you. You're one of the few producers I know that actually use PC. That I know. That I know. Why do
Mhm.
you use PC over Mac?
Two reasons. Um, I just been using PC all my career from the beginning. From
Gotcha. Okay.
when DAWs came out on computer, I was using the PC when they first came out. Back in the day, when Logic first came out, they were made by a company called eMagic.
Mm-hmm.
They were both for PC and Mac, right? Until Apple bought them, then it became the Logic we know now. But
Mm-hmm.
back when it was for PC and Mac, it was that. But I was always a PC guy, and I just never really fell in love with Mac's workflow. I'm pretty sure
Gotcha.
if I had gotten used to it, you know, I would have, but the technology advanced so fast that I never had a chance to. By the time I had a chance to sit down with a Mac, PCs had already graduated to the point where they could hang with Mac strength and Mac processing power and all of that. So
Mm-hmm.
now you can build a PC now that can rival any Mac, and it's
Yeah.
interchangeable. You don't gotta, it's less expensive now. But then there's a there's a color that comes along with PCs engines that isn't the same. And I found that out through Teddy Riley,
Oh
right?
wow.
So
He used PC.
100%,
Wow, that's amazing.
100%. He was like, no, PC is actually warmer. And I was like, really? And I got to do the math later because somebody was like, how's your stuff always sound? How you get it to sound like that? And I'm using the same program and the same stuff, and it don't sound like that. And I learned, I'm like, oh, I'm on PC. That's why. And so the
Ah.
transistors, the formatting, the ones and zeros, it's a little bit warmer on PC than it is, so there's kind of a heft that comes along with the way PC. Mac is clean. Mac is cleaner. Your stuff
Mm-hmm.
gonna be digital, clean, like super clean. I hate that sound. I'm dirt. Give me all the dirt. Give me
Mm-hmm.
everything in there. Like that's just
Yeah.
how I've been. You know what I mean? I just never I got I got albums that I did on Logic. They were a nightmare to deal with. I just
Oh wow.
I just never liked it. It just never sat well with me. And I know some genius who murdered with Logic, and I love their stuff. But for my workflow and my particular sound, like I can tell a Logic beat any day of the week. Like I can just spot it. I just know what it sounds like. Oh, that's the Rhodes from Logic. Oh, that's the kick from Logic. Oh, that's the brass. Oh, that's a lead sound. Oh, yeah, I know a play. Oh, I can hear it. And because I spent so much time with it, I was like, man, it's kind of Logic is kind of antiquated, and you kind of got to go out of your way to create a different type of thing. And it just didn't fit me well. And I would see
Mm-hmm.
geniuses come out with just magic, and I'm like, I don't know how you do that. And then they look at me and go, I don't know how you do that. So PC was just came for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was just came for me. I'm fast with it. I know the ins and outs. If something goes wrong with Windows, I know what it is. And
Yeah.
then the other thing is I used to build them. So I have one of my mentors was back when computer stores was out. It was a computer surplus, and he used to work
Mm-hmm.
at those places. And so I would go and sit in with him at his job and help him build computers for clients. So I
Oh
knew how
wow.
to build them. So I'm like, just no brainer. Why would I switch to a Mac? I could just build me a PC for nothing,
Yeah.
versus, pay 32 to 400, $4,000 for a Mac. Didn't make any sense. So I just been a PC head since that day.
Yeah. No, I love that. Next question is, you talked about your first jazz album, and how you went about releasing it the other week. And I thought that
Hmm.
story was very interesting and inspiring, because similar to what you said about that process of like just taking it into your own hands, I feel like that's kind of what I've done with all of my music.
Yes,
At one
I
point,
see
I
it.
had the dream of, oh, I want to write for artists and I want to
Hmm.
pitch my songs out there. And I'm writing all of this music, sending it to them, and some would respond, some would say not respond, and then some would just be like, we don't really see the vision in that. And what I learned
Hmm.
quickly is like, all right, God gave me this music for a reason. Like, let me
Yeah,
put this in my own hands and figure this out. Let me bring in the musicians. And I didn't wait for the perfect time or the perfect opportunity to put this music together into a body of work. It's like, all right,
right.
I took control of the situation. And I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who they're sitting around waiting for the perfect opportunity. And
Woo.
I don't think there's no such thing as, there is, but it's rare that you're going to get the perfect opportunity to put your music out. So
Right.
even if it ain't perfect, put it out. But can you talk about your jazz record and what that process looked like? You even talked about how you mixed it and you weren't that good at mixing, you know?
Oh, I was not. I was not. Um, so my jazz album consists of song that you talking about, the Groove and Sunrise album I was telling you about on the live.
Yeah.
I started writing songs for that in '08.
Wow.
I didn't come out with it until 2012.
Mm.
But it consists of songs that I wrote in '08, you know, and I was just sitting on music, just sitting on it,
Yep.
like waiting for a perfect opportunity somebody's gonna want this. Nobody wanted it. You know what I'm saying? Nobody
Yeah.
wanted it. Nobody wanted it. Um, and what I learned, I said, the perfect opportunity doesn't come so that you can get ready. The perfect opportunity comes because you already are ready.
Come on. Say
You know what I'm
that.
saying? The
Yeah.
the the, the perfect opportunity doesn't show up and go, okay, now you can be great. No,
Yeah.
the opportunity shows up because you're great and
Yep.
you got somebody's attention. So I was like, I'm not gonna sit on this. I'm just sitting on this stuff.
Yeah.
And at the time, like me and Mono Neon were in talks. We was talking. I said, hey man, can you put bass on this? Sure. I had a sax guy. Hey, can you put sax on this? Sure. Got my people, got everything together, got all my songs. And I was just like, I'm gonna just go for it.
Mhm.
I'd rather have this out than not have it out, you know. And I sitting there mixing it, man. I listened to that stuff. Not that it's bad, but listening to it now, I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have did that. I would have did something else. I wish I'd have known about this, you know what I mean? But
Hmm.
it was the journey I was learning, it was like I didn't know how my drum should have sounded at that time. I didn't know like where the bass needed to sit at the time. I made it work for what I needed it to work for.
Hmm.
And I didn't want to sit on music and wait for someone else to hand me a career. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? As an artist, I was not going to sit and wait for someone to hand me a career. You know, I'm just going to go for a career myself, and some of the songs I had already performed. I had
Yeah.
performed some of those songs already. And, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just put it out. Who knows? And to this day, people are like, "Man, I didn't even know you did one." But I have something. And the crazy part is some of the opportunities I get now is from because they heard something from that album. And they go,
Wow.
"Man, I heard this song." And I'm like, "Man, that joint is like 10, 12 years old, 13 years old even,
Hmm.
you know? But imagine if I had never put that out, they'd have never heard me. No one will ever hurt me. Sometimes the thing that you don't think is good, you put it out. That might be the only thing someone hears to go, you know what, let's give this cat a chance.
Yeah.
You know, but
And
you
the
got to
thing you
just
think
do.
is good,
Come on, Kel.
everyone gonna be like, yeah, that's cool, but we like that one. We like the
Yeah.
one over there, the one that you're
Yeah.
like,
Oh
that
man,
one ain't
that happens
nothing.
all the time. That happens all the time. That happens all the time. Somebody's favorite thing of me. I'm like that. I was fooling around, but they're like, "Hey, bro, that joint, man, that joint, man, hey, that's my favorite of all time." It was
Yeah.
one beat I did on YouTube. I was on the phone. I wasn't even serious. I was on the phone holding a conversation the whole time and just
Wow.
threw it together. And to this day, people like, "Hey man, send me that rainbows in the sky, bro. That joint send me that joint, man. Oh man." I'm like, I was fooling around. But that's what I'm saying. Like you just never know. But it comes
Hmm.
from not being afraid to express and just let your gift flow out of you the way it is. And you're going to, and I wish people on social media would understand this. The audience that you're meant to influence and the fans that you're meant to have will show up, but they'll only show up if you do what you're meant to do.
Come on.
If you're doing
Yeah.
something else, then you're going to get an audience that wants the something else, and you'll never say what you were supposed to say.
Yeah.
And the people that are supposed to hear what you have to say will never hear it because
Yeah.
you're not putting you out there. You're putting what you think other people want. And there are people looking for what you have to offer, but only if you give of yourself in that
Hmm.
way will they come. That's the thing.
Yeah.
The people that want to listen to you, they will come listen to you. The
Yeah.
thing is, we're afraid that they're not going to come listen
Yeah.
because we're so busy looking at other people listen to other people,
Yep.
you know. So it's like, oh man, he's already doing that. So I don't need to do that. You do it. Do it
Yeah.
what you were doing. Somebody wants to come here, you do that.
Yep.
But it took a while for me to get there, man, because social media is a different beast.
Yeah. You know what's funny though? I think about you and even like some of the other guys. Like you guys were early on YouTube. Like to be honest, like I'm part of the new generation. Like I'm kind of in a grand scheme of things, I'm
Mhm.
new. You know, I've been able to get some traction and stuff like that. But I was watching you guys back in 2010, 2009.
Mm.
Y'all were putting up stuff, killing the game, remixes, all
Yeah.
that. Like,
You see, my first remix was in 2006,
oh wow, that you posted on YouTube.
and I posted. That was
Oh,
my
I didn't
first
know
remix.
that.
My first remix was in this was before YouTube was anything.
Yeah.
YouTube YouTube was just this dial-up was still in effect back then. America
Dang.
Online, you know what I mean? Like, it was
Yeah.
still. And when, I started doing remixes, it was a way to express my musicality in a way that other people could relate to it. That's where my remixes started, and that's where remixes started for a lot of us, is that it was a way for us to show our ability with music that people were familiar with so that they would listen to us. Cause other than that,
Yeah.
we weren't getting listened to. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? This was back in like MySpace days. That's where we
Yep.
used to post our remixes was on MySpace, right?
SoundCloud too.
And
SoundCloud.
see, SoundCloud wasn't out then. It wasn't. It
Okay.
wasn't even. Hadn't even been. No one knew about it. It was.
Okay.
It was MySpace and Black Planet. That's like for those of you who like are my age, you know what that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So getting music on the internet was so new to us. That was a different beast, man. Like it's like, man, I can put my music on the internet and people will hear it. That was new. We went crazy because no
Yeah.
one was listening to us, and we put it out. It started in 2006, man, and I just never looked back. But also, before all of that, what you saw was we had already had libraries and libraries of music that were sitting, that there was
Mm.
no place for it to be seen. So when
Yeah.
the internet caught up, all we had to do was go, oh, we'll put this up there. Okay, all right, let me put this. So these are things we already had this stuff.
He was already
It just,
working before anybody was watching.
yeah, we was already before. Like I remember distinctly sitting New Year's Eve. I want to say it was New Year's Eve. Maybe it was Christmas. Studio apartment. I had a studio apartment. And everybody was all celebrating at their family's house. And oh man, you coming over? Nah, man. I don't know why I didn't go over, but I didn't. And I was sitting in my computer writing music. There was no internet. There was none of that. It was just
Mm.
writing music. New Year's, I hear fireworks popping off and all. I'm in my house by myself making music, no audience, and
Good.
just, man, it's just sitting there enjoying it by myself. Like, yeah, yeah. All right, let me do the next one. And it just stacked up. So when internet came around, it was like, oh, let me post this. Let me post that. Let me post this. So when folks actually saw it, they're like, oh man, he did this, he did that. He's like, man, that stuff is 9, 10 years old already.
Wow.
13, 14, 15 years old already. I got my God, if you search, I have a video at my goddad's house when I first started producing, and he got
Mm-hmm.
this room in his vocal room. He got a closet. We call it the graveyard. And in the
Mm-hmm.
graveyard, it's just shelves and shelves of CDs and DVDs of all my music that no one will ever hear,
Oh wow.
that I had been doing since 1997. Nobody, like, I was doing this stuff long before, so it was like, oh, let me get this. I'm posting. He's playing me albums. I don't even know it's me. I'm just listening to it, like, when did you do that? He was like, you did that. I didn't do that. I'm like, I don't even remember. You know what I mean? But it's because we just had all of this stuff. So when the internet caught up, it was like, oh, that's easy. It was an easy win. We didn't have to make anything for the internet.
Mm-hmm.
We had a bunch of content already. I still have content tens and tens of 20s of years old that no one's heard. I got
Yeah.
beats no one has heard. And they're like,
Good.
man, how you even do that? Well, it's from years and years of just tracking and just keeping, just hard drives of CDs and DVDs and saving all of this stuff. And it has to be, like I spoke about on my live, it has to be in you to do this.
Mm.
If if you cannot do this without an audience watching, you ain't made for this.
Yeah.
You ain't made for it. If you can't do this without somebody watching you for attention, you can't do this without having to have an audience of approval or people. If you can't do this like just without nothing, and just I can't, man, I don't know what it's like to get up and not create music. I have no idea what that feels like. I have
Yeah.
before the cameras is up, I have no idea what that's like, bro. Like, I remember getting up, going to work back when Blockbuster Video was the thing to do. I worked at Blockbuster Video. I worked at the grocery store meat market. I worked at Sizzler Steakhouse. I did all that. I couldn't keep none of them jobs because I just could not stop writing music.
Yeah.
I couldn't do
Purpose.
it. I couldn't do it, and it was like, yo, I have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got married, I got family, and I got, once people start depending on you to be great, like, hey man, I better get up and do something. Cause my
Yeah.
son don't eat if this music ain't killing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's a different type of drive. So if you can't do this without people going, oh yeah, that's dope. And oh man, if you can't do this without people doing that, you're not made for this, man. You gotta do
Yeah.
something else. You gotta find your sense of worth. Like, if nobody says this is great, this gotta get sold either way. Like, I can't wait for somebody else to say it's great. And case in point, the thing that the confirmation in that is when I got the Disney job, in that, you got to sign NDA until it comes out.
Mm.
No one can hear or know that you did this. You know what I mean? Can you do it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no,
Right.
you can't.
Without the
You can't
camera?
post. Yeah, you can't post the kind. You can't do none of that.
Yeah.
And then when it came out for a year and a half, maybe two, no one knew it was me. They had no
That's
idea.
amazing.
If you went, if it reopened now and you went, you wouldn't know which song is me. You wouldn't have any idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But can you do the work? You know what I'm saying? When nobody's watching. I
Mm-hmm.
just did I think last year I just did the Name That Tune TV game show for Carnival Cruises. Nobody knows I did that.
Oh
Can
wow.
you do the work without no camera, without people? Oh man. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Can you get paid without recognition?
That's good.
Can you handle people telling you like this is a different game? People, oh man, I want to be a producer. Are you sure? Because
Yeah.
I think people nowadays they really want to be a content creator. They don't want to be a producer
Mm-hmm.
or an artist. They just want to create content and have an audience and do all of that. And that's great. But that's what you got to identify, because
Yep.
this game is not an upfront on stage game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of tracks out there. I got paid for them. My name is on the credits, but people don't know who that is.
That's
And
okay with you.
man, listen, I'm eating there eating barbecue with my family. I ain't got
Love it.
time to be worried about who's a like, oh man, I didn't know you. So now people like, I didn't know you did that. Oh, it's all good, but I don't it now. Let me give you a transparent moment here. It took 20 years to get there.
Yeah, yeah. I got you.
It
Uh-huh.
took me 20 years to get to this mindset, right?
Uh-huh.
I've been through all of that. I've been through all of, man, no, man, you ain't gonna respect, you disrespect me. No. I went through that whole thing being young and, wanting the
Yeah.
spotlight and trying to go up against cats. And I've been through all of that. It took me a
Mm-hmm.
long time for me to
Yeah.
realize, hey, man, don't, don't worry about who says you're dope. Just be dope. And the
Yeah.
jobs are going to come. And a lot of what I got, it came from me just being consistent in what I do. It has nothing to do with my audience. Now
Mm.
I love them because I love people that listen to me and love my stuff, such as yourself and other people. Like, I love that. Like, I will never get used to people going, man, I've been listening to you since. I will never get used to it. It'll never
Yeah.
happen. I'll never
You
get, I
never
don't know how
know
to
either.
handle.
That's the crazy part.
Yeah, I don't know how to handle that. I have no how to handle it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I, like, this was weird. When I first moved here to Florida where I live, I couldn't wear my band geek hat, right?
Oh wow.
Because it was like when I didn't wear it, no one knew who I was. But when I would go out with my band geek hat, like, people were stopping in their cars, like pulling in the parking lot. Hey man, let me get a picture. I can't get
Dang,
used
that's
to it.
crazy.
Yeah, bro. It was like
That's
weird.
crazy.
It was. I remember my friend was like, "Man, I started this apparel. It's called Band Geek. I want you to rep it." And he would just send me all his bands. So I was like, for a long time, all my videos had this Band Geek hat on,
Mm-hmm.
and so whenever I went, that's how people knew who it was. Is I was the only person in America that had that hat, so they
Mm-hmm.
knew, like, oh, that's
Yeah.
Donyea. There's no. So I would pull up at like a random Guitar Center or at a restaurant. My last interaction was I was at a restaurant. I was like a cheesecake factory with my
Yeah.
family,
Yeah.
and no one said anything. We were walking outside. We was heading to the car, and I grabbed my Band Geek hat and I put it on outside. And all of a sudden, the very people standing next to us knew who I was by the hat.
Wow.
And then they were like, "Oh man, I've been listening to your stuff for years, man." And I was like, "I don't know how to handle it." It's very humbling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I've been on both sides where people don't like your music at all.
Hmm.
So when people like really enjoy listening to you and they really enjoy and you have such an influence, that is humbling to me, and I don't take it lightly
Yeah.
because anytime somebody takes a moment to listen to you it's an honorable thing because people don't have to listen to you. People don't have to give you a chance with their heart, with their mental, with
Hmm.
speaking to their musical ears. Like they don't have to, and they take time to listen to you, and they like it, and they're a fan. Man, I appreciate that 100%.
Yep.
So I don't take it lightly. Although I have a side where it's like, oh, don't care what nobody thinks, but also care about the people that are listening to you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yep.
So it's like that's the whole thing for me. I appreciate you. I appreciate even the people in the comments. There's like I'm seeing where these people are from. I'm like, how do you
Yeah.
even know?
Yeah.
you know,
Right. Right.
I'll never get used to it.
Yeah. Nah, that's crazy. Two more questions because again, we could go for another 2 hours. This is good
No, listen,
conversation right
I
here.
love to talk. I'm gonna tell you, I'm 48 and I like to talk. I'm just telling
I'm
you right
here
now.
for it. I like the wisdom. You mentioned uploading online. I don't remember the full story. You
Mhm.
can talk about this if you want to. If you don't, I mean, you don't have to. You mentioned
Sure, yeah.
how there was a website you used to upload to. If I remember the story correctly, you uploaded music there. An artist took that music, put it on that album. You got no credit. You made the music, but no one necessarily knew. What's that story?
Okay. Okay. So I was working for a loop company,
Oh,
is what it
okay,
was. I was working
gotcha.
for a loop company called Big City Loops,
I
right?
I, I remember Big City Loops.
Yes,
I
I was working for a
remember.
loop company called Big City Loops, and at the time, uh, the guy that put me on Big City Loops, he put me on, and we started working for them. And then I noticed he broke off. Right, the guy that put me
Oh,
on, he broke off of Big City Loops, and I never understood why. Right?
and he didn't tell you why.
No, I
Oh
saw
wow.
later why. I saw later, and what happened is he came out. He was a smart guy. He went, learned the format, then broke off, and then formed his own site and started doing it himself. And I couldn't
Gotcha.
couldn't exactly place that. I was trying to figure out what that was. But I was working for them, and they was like, "Yeah, man, yeah, man, we appreciate the content. Yeah, man, we understand that's what they would say. We understand the revelation. We understand the revelation. Donyea, we get you. We understand." And then they was like, "Oh, we'll give you this for a salary," and the salary was very meager. But
Yeah.
I was tracking for them, um, probably 40 I was tracking for them 40 songs a month. It
Oh wow.
was 40 songs a month I was tracking for them for next to nothing.
Yeah.
And so the end user agreement was supposed to say that if a major artist picks it up, they got to put my name on it, right? They
Hmm.
got to. So what ended up happening is, and I took a beat because at the time there was no use for it. I took a beat that I made in 2004. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna use this as one of the joints, and I submitted it as one of the joints. And Jay Moss's crew picked it up, right?
Hmm.
They made a song with it.
My
Song
fault.
came out. The song came out in 2012.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Song came out in 2012 while I was working for the same loop company. Came out in 2012. Guys got it. Joint went big.
Mm.
No, like the joint was huge. They used the beat as it was. The beat just dropped as it was, and I was like tripping. And I was like, man, this Jay Moss one of the greatest of all time in my book. Like, and then there was the other side, like, man, it would have been nice to at least like been on paper. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then when I contacted my people, it was like, hey man, y'all didn't tell me that Jay Moss would go, oh, well, it's this, oh, we can't really do nothing about it. They didn't fight for me. Right. They just
Oh
they just
wow.
And then they didn't fight for me. They just let it
Hmm.
go. I didn't blame Jay Moss because it ain't got nothing to do with him. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And so when I learned then that they weren't gonna fight for my best interest, I quit. I quit working for the loop company. And to this day, that's why I don't work for loop companies or I don't mess with Splice and none of that. Because nobody wins. As much as people
Mm.
think you win, you don't win. Like,
Yeah.
no. There's no value created for you in that. You know what I mean? And they'll lie to you and tell you all day that this is how it brings value to you, but it doesn't. It just gets them paid, and that's it. And how I know is when I quit Big City Loops and was like, I'm not doing this, and I took my library, some of it, I took some of my library and transferred it to my site and was like, I'm gonna sell my own music if that's what's going. At that point, 60 to 70% of their library was me.
Dang, for real?
Yes.
Wow.
60 to 70% of their entire library was me. And I started hearing my songs on the radio, on the commercials, on award shows. I started
That's
hearing, and I
tough.
wasn't getting a dime for that. I wasn't getting a dime. Nobody was saying my name, nothing. And I
Because it
learned
was
then, like,
royalty free, I
oh,
guess.
yeah, yeah. And
Ah.
that's when I learned that people say royalty free, they think it means invisible. Like, no, it still should point back to the composer.
Mm.
Royalty free doesn't mean your composition rights go away by law, but that's what
Hmm.
people think it means. Like
Yeah.
royalty means, I mean, no, it just means that you don't have to pay the composer royalties for what you're using, but you still got to credit him.
Yeah.
You still got to put his name on there. He still gets published. You know what I'm saying? Like all so a lot of times people don't, these companies they capitalized on the composers and we lost out because we were in dire we needed money. So it was quick money, let's make the money.
Yeah.
And then we found out that the money isn't worth it for our art to be out there. And when I quit Big City Loops, I never forget, man, these guys emailed me and cussed me out. They called me everything
In the email?
because yeah, in the email. I
How
still have it.
professional of them.
Oh man. They're showing me all kinds of PayPal statements where my music was paying their bills. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was kind of like that. So I was like, never again. So when they do that, and then as it progressed and then Splice, I was like, I'm cool on all of it. I'm cool.
Yeah.
So I don't sell my loop packs. I don't sell none. I don't do none
Hmm.
of that. Like
Yeah.
I write my music and I put my music out for that reason. And years later, me and Jay worked together again. Now
Yeah.
there wasn't no middleman. You know what I mean? So Jay hits me up directly, like, hey man, let's do this one thing. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
we were able to reconcile that part because it was
Yeah.
still a great moment that, hey man, I got a joint with Jay Moss. It took a
Yeah.
minute, but it's like, man, yeah, I got to join with Jay Moss. So it was kind of like that, where there was a middleman involved that was kind of poisonous, and I had to get rid of that,
Mm.
And I learned over, and this was what 2012, so 13 years ago, you know.
Yeah.
And so here it is, what last year before last, me and Jay
Hmm.
just started working together, like exclusive, like directly rather. And so it's a big circle, but yeah, like that. I'm okay talking about it now because
Yeah.
Jay
Yeah.
understands, I understand, and I like to warn these cats, man, because a lot of us, especially the younger cats, like these companies will sift you dry and take all your music and
Yeah.
they will upload it to their thing and they will make their dollars. They will feed their AI system. They will do all
Hmm.
that. They will do everything with your creation. But you got to make sure without a shadow of a doubt that you own what you do 100%.
Yeah.
And don't mess with nobody who's talking otherwise. Like, I don't care what they say. Oh man, I'm trying to. No, no, I own what I do. That's the end of it.
Hmm.
Because by law you do. They'll try to tell, and don't let nobody tell you all this, man. Oh, you ain't gonna make no money off it anyway. So what? Okay.
Yeah.
That's the lie, especially with Hollywood and labels. They
Mm-hmm.
always try to, oh well, you ain't gonna make no money anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
what? So what? Give it to you to not make any money? No, no. Own your
Yeah.
stuff. Even your stuff that I listen to, own all of that.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
No, that's good. All right. So, all right. I guess one more question. One more question. Do you still play in church? I know at one point you was playing in church. I don't think you do, but do you still play in church, and do you
Yeah,
foresee
yeah, I
that in
do
the
now.
future?
I took a
Okay.
break. I took a
Okay.
break from I took a break from 2017 to 2019.
Okay. That's a
I
nice
took a
little
break.
break. What did you
Mhm.
learn during that time that, what did you learn?
It's all poisonous, bro.
Oh, wow. Say more.
It's all poison.
Say
Like,
more.
but okay, so you know, being in church as long as I have, you
Okay.
know, you see a lot of stuff, man. And I I was just like, yo, this is so crazy. When you're a man of faith, right? And then you see people who claim to be the same men and women of faith, but they do things that misrepresent the faith
Mm,
in the faith. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, if anywhere there should be safety, it should be here, but it wasn't. And I just kept seeing it and kept seeing it and kept happening to me. And, different things would happen. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take a chance and I'm not going to lose my faith over them. So I need to
mhm.
leave so that I don't lose my faith over them. Right. So I left. I felt spiritually led to just leave and do my own thing. And I didn't have nowhere to go. I didn't have folks was like, man, how you gonna pay your bills for your family, your son? And, and I was like, nah, I'm cool. I'll figure it out. I got
Yeah.
up every morning, 2017. I got up every morning at 6 o'clock. I was at the gym from 7 to 8. I came back home from ate breakfast from 8 to 9. From 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., I was making beats and I was posting them. And I treated it like a job.
There
Monday
you
through
go.
Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., we making these beats. 2 weeks later, Teddy called me.
Amazing.
That's how it happened. 2 weeks
Yeah.
later, and one of my boys, Marcus Crawford, he saw what I was doing, so he just kept reposting my stuff. He was reposting and tagging anybody he could think of. Just check it out, check it out. And
Yeah.
Teddy hit me, and Teddy was like, I had to go down your Instagram to make sure you just wasn't getting lucky. So he started noticing. He's like, okay. He was like, you got to come on the road, man.
That's good.
And we had nothing to lose, so we went on the road. We went on the road. We were in the middle of moving. Teddy was like, nah, you're gonna live with me. He moved us in his house,
Wow.
and we was living with Teddy the whole tour. That's it's how that tour happened. We lived with him the entire tour, and that was another learning experience. But after being out there and then dealing with industry cats and labels and the meetings and dealing with all of that, I learned it's the same.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's the same. Find somewhere where you're safe to be. Make sure you know what you're going into, and make sure you can deal with the parameters of the deal that you make and go with that. Now, blessingly, the church I'm at is the best. I will go down. I will say it loud and proud. This is the best church I've ever worked at in my entire life of being a church musician.
That's
This
love.
is the best church I've ever worked at. This is the most stressless situation I've ever worked
Yeah.
at. All day long, all day strong. Like, if I'm not playing at this church, I'm not playing at no church. Like, that's how
That's
dope
good.
it is. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm at a place now where I can't say I'm not playing at no church, but I'm saying to this day, like, I've never seen a situation like this. Like,
Hmm.
it's very stressless, man. It ain't about They ain't about all that dumb politics and extra
Yeah.
services and sweet potato pie in the back, and like they none of that happened. None of that happened,
Yeah.
bro. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm definitely in a good place. Um, Musically, it keeps my chops up. It definitely keeps my chops up. You know, I don't really gig the way I used to.
Yeah.
That's gonna change soon because I'm walking into artistry now
Hmm.
as a musical artist. So that is definitely gonna change. But you know, church helps me keeps my chops up, and I love playing with the guys that I'm playing with. So yeah, I'm a church musician, but not in the traditional sense, you
Yeah.
know,
No,
because
that's good. I love
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah,
Um,
man.
any words you want to leave for the upcoming producers, next generation of guys that look up to you, and what you've done? Again, you've already spoken so many gems, and 10 minutes into the
Man,
conversation, I think
man,
everyone that was here was locked in. But anything you
man,
want
do
to
the work.
do the
Do the
work?
work.
Yeah.
Do the work. No, okay. I tell this to artists that I work with, and they hate me for it. They can't stand it. There is somebody who's not as good as you that is further than you because they outwork you. It has
Mm.
nothing to do with their skill level.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with your skill level. I can't make it up. There's an artist who I truly believe in, and she is dope at what she does, but she don't work. She don't put that work in. There's another artist who, again, I truly believe in. I work with her, and she's not as great as the first artist, but she got awards now.
Wow.
She's going to awards. She's singing on platforms. She's singing with tours that nobody knows about. She is working. It's because she's outworking these cats, man.
Yeah.
It's like she's gotten the songs that we've written for her in places they would have never been because she get up and go to work instead of getting up waiting for somebody to hand her the deal. You know what I mean? Don't wait for
Hmm.
somebody to hand you the deal. Like artists, don't be waiting for somebody to be, oh, I'm waiting for the right deal to come along. Ain't no deal. When you get up in the morning, ain't no deal.
It
You're the
don't
deal.
exist.
No, you
Yeah.
make the deal that you want for you. Make that for you and give that to yourself. It's going to take longer, but you own your deal. You see what I'm saying? Now
Yeah.
can't nobody come and make you an offer you can't refuse because you're already paying yourself. You've
Yeah.
grown yourself to that point. You know what I'm saying? If you if you grow your garden, you know what's out there in your harvest. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Can't nobody come if you grow your own garden, can't nobody come impress you with a carrot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a whole garden. What's your carrot gonna do? Already, I have what I need. Do
Yeah.
the work. Do the work. And I'm telling you, the rest happens. People don't believe what I'm telling you. They don't believe what I'm saying. They feel like it's some kind of trick. Oh, I got to manip the algorithm. I got to do that. I don't pay attention to that no more.
Yeah.
Because
It's inconsistent.
you get so caught up in twisting knobs and the catch up. Oh, TikTok, you if you're doing that, you're not creating any music.
Yeah.
You you're not creating any music. And that's how you have a lot of these people who they are think about this, bro, for a second. Some of the most amazing comedians are singers and musicians and producers and
Mhm.
beat makers. How come we don't know that? Because they were so busy trying to bring it, and they just did what it takes to get the audience. And what got the audience was being funny. Now you got to be funny. So now
Yeah.
you're a comedian. So who takes your music seriously? Nobody.
Nobody.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And now your music has become a side thing that you do. If that's what you want, fine. But the truth is like you can get so caught up and comfortable in what you don't even want to do.
Mm.
Might as well take a
Now.
chance on something you love. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So just do the work. Do the
Yeah.
work. That's what I'll say. Do the work. Do the work and learn. Study. Do the work,
Yeah.
learn and study. And it sounds like a school teacher speech, You know what I'm saying? It sounds like a school
Hmm.
teacher speech, but like I'm telling you, a lot of people like, how do you know what you know? How do you? I just sit. I just learn and do. I just sit and do it. I do the stuff no one wants to do. No one wants to read the manual.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How you work that machine? I read the manual.
You got access to it too.
Yeah, like YouTube. Do a search.
Yeah.
Do a YouTube
Google.
search. Google, YouTube, ChatGPT will spell it out for you now. You know what I
Step by
mean? But
step.
you know what I'm saying? But we're so conditioned that we're so conditioned to wait for someone to give it to us because the media has really painted this picture of making it and painting a picture of like how that path goes for everybody. Oh, I was sitting somewhere and I was just doing this thing and somebody heard me and then they gave me that doesn't exist anymore. That doesn't exist anymore. Like you got to do the work, become a self-made, I every now and then I'll be transparent. I get caught up in my view numbers or my follower numbers. And like, I know more people see me than this.
Yeah.
I know more people see me than this.
Yep.
But capitalism is going to make sure that I only think there's only 30,000 people looking at me, even if
Hmm.
there's more, because they want me to pay for the other 50,000 or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
You got to see beyond that and go, no, okay, I just got to put in the work. And the people that'll find me, they'll find me, so put that work in, man. Don't be afraid of work. Don't be afraid of it.
Yeah. No, that's so good. Another thing that comes to mind is, and I've been pondering on this lately as well too. It's like your time is going to come. At some
Oh, come
point,
on.
your number is going to be called. And
Come
the
on.
and the last thing you want when your number is called is not to be ready. So you want to be
Man.
able to prepare for the opportunity, so when the opportunity comes, it's like, oh, I'm ready. I've been preparing for this for 5 or 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
We here.
People
I can do the thing.
listen, people don't realize because they're in their mind, they're so used to they fed themselves the idea that the opportunity is not coming so that their heart isn't broken for getting their hopes up.
Yeah.
And
No, your time coming.
what happens is they stop working. You see what I'm saying? And then the opportunity comes and they're not ready. And they don't, and even in that, they don't realize that they're not ready. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You mentioned something a while back when people weren't waiting for the perfect moment. They're waiting for the
Yeah.
perfect. There's a friend of mine who I haven't heard from her in a long time. Like she's probably one of the most killing, amazing producers that I've worked with. And every time I'm like, man, just put your stuff out there. Let's just get, you can do this. You can do this as a career. And she will go, no, I need to put my business plan. No, I got to do, no, see, because I want everything tight so that it's, I want everything squeaky clean. And then, then I'll come out. She never came out.
Yeah.
Never.
Procrastination.
Yeah, she just never. And I'm like, man, how many people would have just blown you up? You know what I'm saying? If you would have just put yourself. So it's like, man, just do it. Um, I see Nick all day. You was talking about my production mentorship course. I saw that and I just kind of want to address that really quick. Um, it's a whole new course coming out. It's a whole new setup coming out. I used to have it back in 2018, and I was running it and running it. And then my deal with the studio that I was working out of went away. So I didn't have a studio to teach out of at the time. And I had to do something else for work. So I let it go, and I would let it run for a little bit. And then I stopped because I didn't want people paying for something they weren't getting. So I shut it down. But there's an entirely new format of classes coming out. It's a entirely new format of interaction coming out on my website, DonyeMusic.net. So when it's up, you'll definitely see the announcement, but it's all new classes. It's none of the classes from before. It's all new classes, all new interaction. And these classes are like classes. Like you got homework, you got assignments, you got interaction, you got, I'm gonna get on
Yeah.
and be like, that sucks. Don't do that. Like it's a definitely an interactive thing where you have to talk to me to get along. So because I wanted people to be a part of a development thing. Like there's an end goal. Like when you take these classes, at the end of these classes, you're gonna be able to do this. You know, I didn't want it to be like,
Transformation.
yeah, I didn't want it to be like any other course where they just teaching you stuff you could have looked up on YouTube for free. You know what I mean? Like, nah, just at the end of these classes, you're gonna be able to do this. This is from start to finish. This is what it's gonna look like. So I just wanted to address that because you're not the only person that's asked about production courses and all that kind of stuff. I've been working on it and working on it, and I wanted to really make sure that people got what they paid for. So everything is in editing now. It's in post. We're trying to put the form together and the mods and all that kind of stuff. So you'll hear from me soon.
Let's go. Donyea Goodman, everyone. Hey, I appreciate you coming on. This was a very good conversation, and I think everyone that has been here, hey, 40 of you, all night we had about 40 people on, between 35 and 40, and that's really
I'm
good to
loving it.
see.
I'm loving
Really
it.
good to see.
I'm 100, man. Look, thank you for having me on this show, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I don't take it lightly when people want me on their shows, man. It's always an opportunity to just kind of express myself and kind of just share my views. And I appreciate you, man. I appreciate all 40 of you off and on who've been on here listening and commenting, and all of you are special, man. I love y'all. I appreciate you. I saw my homegirl Essence Core on here. I don't know if she's still listening, but Essence, that's my homie right there. She works with me up there at the church and stuff. And so I appreciate y'all, man. Thank y'all for just, I mean, thank you, man, for having me, for real. Like it
Yes,
means a lot.
sir. This was good. Appreciate you. Thank you for coming on again. We will talk soon.
Yes, indeed.
All right, everyone. We are out.